join us on the program, Larry Keane, General Counsel for the National Shooting Sports Foundation, who was at today's House Oversight Committee hearing on Fast and Furious. Larry, good evening.
Good evening, Cam. How are you?
I'm good. I don't work for the Department of Justice. I don't work in the Obama administration. I'm good tonight. First of all, I mean, just your reaction to everything that we heard today at this House Oversight Committee meeting.
Well, I didn't get to stay for all of it, so I missed the last witness, and I heard a little bit of his testimony just before you went on break. So the allegations that are being made about Fast and Furious are, if true, very troubling and disturbing. The National Shooting Sports Foundation, is aware that there's an ongoing investigation, obviously, by the Oversight Committee as well as by the Inspector General, and there's a separate question about whether there ought to be an independent investigator brought in to handle this matter instead of the Inspector General's office, which is something Senator Grassley and Congressman Issa have called for. The allegations are very, very serious, very troubling if true, and the allegations and comments and testimony by the special agents who testified today was, nothing short of shocking about what allegedly took place. So it's very troubling. I think what's important and was, from the industry's point of view, encouraging to hear was that federal firearms licensees, the dealers in Arizona, were very cooperative with law enforcement. One of the special agents, as I recall, said that the dealers are our friends. The dealers cooperate and provide information, and the report issued today by Senator Grassley and Congressman Issa even pointed out that cooperation, went to the extent of dealers allowing ATF to put agents behind the counter in their store in order to observe the transactions. So it's very important to point out that the dealers are not the bad guys here. They are cooperating and participating in the Don't Lie for the Other Guy anti-straw purchasing program, which is designed to give the dealers the tools and ability to identify and spot illegal straw purchases. And what the program encourages them to do, of course, is to call ATF and cooperate. And that's obviously exactly what they did. And as we know from prior letters by the senator and the congressman, the number of the dealers that were involved in cooperating in Fast and Furious raised their own concerns about whether they should be involved in selling firearms to individuals who were straw purchasers. And one of our concerns is the liability exposure that creates for those retail dealers for having done what ATF asked them to do. And as you saw, we've seen, many of them raised significant concerns, even including to the point of requesting meetings with the Assistant United States Attorney and their own lawyers about their concerns that they would be portrayed as being somehow involved in wrongdoing.
Yeah.
And we're very concerned about the potential civil liability exposure to these retail dealers who were cooperating with law enforcement as they're always encouraged to do.
Well, Larry, I think you have every reason to be worried about that. But you're right. I mean, clearly it was not the FFLs that were at fault here. It was the GOV that was at fault here. I mean, you had agent after agent testifying that they had real problems with this. They objected to their superiors. They were basically told, shut up or find something else to do. And let me give you a quote here from Agent John Dodson, who says, "This was not a matter of some weapons getting away from us or allowing a few to walk so as to follow them to a much larger or more significant target. Allowing loads of weapons that we knew to be destined for criminals, this was the plan. It was so mandated." I mean, that was, Larry, that's what the ultimate outcome was supposed to be. It wasn't that they were going to eventually interdict these guns or hope that they would take down a big cartel in Mexico. They didn't ever give a reason like that. It was just let the guns go and shut up about it if you've got a problem.
The allegations in the testimony today was very shocking and troubling. And I was also encouraged to see that, the ranking member on the committee, Congressman Elijah Cummings, was very supportive of the investigation and, endorsed the investigation and, as I recall, promised the Terry family that committee would pursue the investigation, including, interviewing and questioning others within ATF and the Department of Justice to find out exactly what happened and who was responsible, and as I believe Congressman Cummings said, to bring anybody who was involved in this to justice. So that was encouraging to see that this is not become a partisan issue, but it's becoming, it is, as it should be, a bipartisan investigation by the committee doing its role as an oversight committee. What I was also troubled about was some of the questions that we heard suggesting that, we're using this incident and the allegations as the basis for enacting additional gun control measures, such as, reinstating the assault weapons ban or mandating the reporting of the sale of more than one rifle to a law-abiding citizen after a background check, something that ATF has proposed to do as a demand letter. As you know, the industry has written in opposition to that proposal. We don't believe that the Gun Control Act affords ATF that level of discretion to just request that information from dealers, particularly when the dealers are not alleged to have violated any rule or regulation at all. And frankly, as Fast and Furious has demonstrated, it wasn't a lack of information about activities going on at the retail level. That information was being provided by dealers doing responsible businessmen, contacting ATF when they saw something was amiss. So we're concerned when we hear suggestions that by some on the committee that the solution here is to enact more gun control.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of speculation, Larry, and I don't know that we'll get into the motive here, but there's been a lot of speculation. That was the intent of this to begin with, to use this by the administration as a push for additional gun control laws. Well, here it is, the scandal's unfolding, and what do we hear? But we hear the same tired calls for the same tired pieces of legislation that they've been advocating for years. I said a few minutes ago, we're talking about the government allowing laws to be broken, and their response is, well, clearly we need more laws. No, if the government is allowing the laws to be broken, it doesn't matter what the laws are.
Yeah, I certainly hope, and I don't believe personally that the motivation by whoever it is that came up with this idea for Operation Fast and Furious was motivated by using it as an opportunity to advance gun control agenda. I would presume that it was, again, assuming all the allegations are true, and that's what the investigation will establish, well-intentioned, if not seriously misguided.
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, when you hear testimony from ATF agents who say, we were never told why we were supposed to be doing this. We were never told, what was supposed to come out of this. Frankly, that's still one of those questions that's unanswered, isn't it, Larry? The motivation behind this program.
It is, and who in the Department of Justice authorized this, who had knowledge of it. I mean, the testimony today indicated very clearly that the acting director was aware and was briefed on an ongoing basis. But also, as Agent Dodson testified, there were individuals within DOJ that were aware and authorized it because the funding for it, because it was a task force, came from DOJ. So that is an important question that remains unanswered. And, it's a little surprising and disappointing that the witness from the Attorney General's or the Department of Justice was not prepared to answer those questions. Obviously, they were well aware that was the question that would be asked, and that those are the sorts of questions that Senator Grassley has been asking for some time, and the Oversight Committee have been asking as well, both in letters and in their subpoenas. So that was troubling, and I think just an attempt to put off and stonewall the investigation.
Yeah, I mean, particularly since it's now mid-June, and even if you want to accept Eric Holder's statement that he didn't learn about this until he saw a CBS News story, I guess back in April. Okay, so we've had April, May, and now half of June, and they haven't been able apparently to figure out who authorized the investigation. I mean, I find that hard to believe. You've got to
Yeah.
think that they now know. It's just a matter of not saying.
And the congressional investigation by the Oversight Committee is entirely appropriate, and the role of the Oversight Committee, and that was really the subject matter of Monday's hearing about the role of oversight committees and whether or not the department can, decline to answer the Oversight Committee's questions or the subpoena. And it's pretty clear that, they can't to simply refuse to answer these questions or to produce documents in response to a validly issued subpoena by the committee, which is the legal authority to issue subpoenas.
Yeah.
So, the investigation obviously will go on for some time, and, we don't want to prejudge the result. The allegations are very serious and troubling if true, and, NSSF, on behalf of our industry members, has for some time now been calling for, an investigation. We support the ongoing investigation by the Oversight Committee. There is an investigation going on by the Inspector General's office, and I think there's a legitimate question that was raised today during the hearing about whether there ought to be an independent investigation by an independent prosecutor. But the important thing is that there is a thorough, independent investigation that is not partisan in any fashion. And again, that was clear today from testimony of the ranking member who endorsed the investigation and that it would, bring to justice whoever was responsible for this. And if there was any wrongdoing, obviously, appropriate steps should be taken to address that.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Larry, appreciate you coming on the program today, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Always pleasure to spend time with you, Cam.